I would now like to bring up Mr. Mark Egley to do the introduction for Sean McCarty.
Well, first moved to Des Moines, Iowa in 1979. My first friend was a greenskeeper named Bill Myers. And Joe Brown was next. And I moved to Willow Creek, and Nate's father, Mike McCoy, and his father, and Sarge Fontanini, and Joe Brown helped me with junior golf. And all I learned was it was the most humble state that I've ever seen, because the greatest people that I was able to get to know were as humble as they were great. And so now, I know that Sean's going to get up here and be kind of quiet and bashful. So I'm going to act like Paul Harvey and tell you the rest of the story. I have been blessed to have a front row seat. There's 4 wonderful children here. There's Jack, there's Reed, and Mac, and Grace. The McCarty family has become part of our family. We babysat each other's young babies and children for the last 25 years. He stayed with my brother down when he was getting started as a golf professional, and Monday, his beautiful wife was 8, 9 months pregnant. And she is as humble as he is. There was a TV show like Fathers Knows Best. Well, these 4 kids over here are the greatest I know, because it's father and mother knows best. And each one of them is as humble as you could ever imagine. So now, once upon a time, a kid shot 68 in the Big Ten and beat me by a shot. His name was Dave Romas. He was from a place called West Branch, Iowa. He was a tournament professional, but he wasn't on the PGA Tour yet, and I'm rooming with him in Rapid City, South Dakota. And there's nothing to do except watch. I remember watching Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and I spent the whole day playing and working with Dave a little bit, because he was just a great friend. We get back to the room. It's kind of quiet. He goes, "Can you do me a favor?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "I'm here today because of Mike and Mary McCarty." I said, "Well, who are they?" "They own the golf course at West Branch, Iowa. And they've done everything in the world, more than my family ever did for me, so I could be here. They have a young son. He needs your help." I said, "Okay, I'll be glad to do it." It's quiet for 5, 10, 15 minutes. The kid's 9 years old. And I was pretty long in my day. And he says, "Oh, something I got to tell you. He can hit it past you." I go, "Yeah, okay. Whatever you say, Dave." Another 15, 20 minutes goes by. He goes, "Oh, there's something else I got to tell you. He hits it cross-handed." And I said, "Okay, Dave." It was all true. And I'm not going to talk about Sean's playing record because it's in the books. And the only thing that it missed is, after he was 7 years old, he never lost a junior golf tournament again, and he won over 100 of them. So now we're going to skip to coming out of high school. Man was extremely fast and was as good a punter as Reggie Rohde was. And to this day, the only regret that he said to me is that he picked golf over football. And then there was a meeting with the golf coach at the University of Iowa. I think it was Lynn Blevins, wasn't it? And Hayden Fry. And Hayden comes out and says, "Lynn, you can have him 6 days a week. Just let him come out and punt for me on Saturdays." And Sean's only regret is, I think, that Hayden became such a great friend of his that he didn't take Hayden up on that. But he was recruited by UCLA, USC, as a running back and a putter. You think he's got the fast club head speed? His life was fast. So, it's the long drives. When he was being really on NCAA championship, they were talking about him and Tiger Woods, which Sean and Tiger were All-Americans the same year. He's known for hitting it really long and past Tiger and everybody else. He was hitting it past everybody, hitting his big Bertha off the ground. And I've never known anybody else would get to it's not that he was cheap, he couldn't afford tees, but he just laid that big Bertha down and let it go. So now we're working down at the grasslands where him and Monday were living. And I'm out there with Andy Bean and about 5 or 6 other tour players. And Sean and I were working on the other end of the range because they had wedges, and we were working on hitting everything a yard left of the flag and driving at the flag so we could hit the flagstick more often. We finally went down to the other end, so Sean wasn't hitting into the players at the other end. And it's just something when he starts hitting drivers. Andy Bean was big and strong, and they all stopped to watch Sean. And so later in the day, our big focus was to hit more wedges close to the flag. We're out on the par 5 on the back 9 that day, and we're out about 300, it was a 620-some yard hole, he's out 300 yards, and I say, okay, now let's just take that 3-wood and drive a yard left of the flag. God is my witness, he hits the flagstick. And so now I'm really glad that I'm sitting in Des Moines, Iowa, because the other little stories I'm going to tell you here, if you didn't know Sean McCarty, you would think that I was telling the wildest, outlandish stories ever. But thank you, Rick Brown. Rick Brown has a couple from this year's job here with Zach, and he can share maybe later on tonight. But the stories were just unbelievable, but yet they're real with Sean McCarty. There's time to spend a 600-yard hole. John Elliott was getting your PGA Tour driving business. Sean gets up, and one of the great things about him, he knew how far he could carry the ball and what he could carry. It's the 18th hole, he's a few under par. Sean rips it over this corner. They're getting ready to drive away, and Elliott looks at him. He had a pretty good ego. So, hey kid, you need to hit another ball. He goes, no, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. And Sean just riding in the cart. He's playing a 600-yard hole, and Elliott's just beside himself because he had a little bit of temper. And Sean's ball is sitting at the 150-yard mark. He hits 9 iron on the green. It's an easy hole. He said it was the only time he'd ever apologized to anybody in his life. So, I grew up in Jackson, Michigan. Dave and Mike Hill were heroes, and Sean is so much like Mike Hill. Calm, easygoing, and successful at golf, but humble. And my brother Doug was at River Road, and this is where Paul Azinger was at. And being from Jackson, Michigan, his football coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was one of my contemporaries named Tony Dungy. But it was Sunday afternoon, another 600-yard hole. But earlier in the day I asked, Paul, can you come out, watch Sean and get to know him and spend some time with him? And Steve and Scott Police were down there too, and would you make him part of the family? He comes out. Well, Tony blew it that day, and the Tampa Bay lost to the Lions, and he comes out. We're playing another one of those 630-yard par 5s. And Paul comes driving out, and he's complaining about our friend, Dungy blew it, get him out of town. And he looks at my brother Doug, is this the guy Mark wants me to watch? What's he waiting for? And he's out 325 yards into the wind. And Paul makes some cynical remarks. He goes, you want me to come out here and watch a guy that doesn't have any better course management than to think he can get there from 325 yards out? Who the hell does he think he is? Into the wind, Sean, I think he heard it. And he knows when he's heard something that's objectionable, he's quiet about it. He gets up and rips it over the green. And at that moment in time says, oh, I guess this is a young fellow I need to get to know better. So, Titleist came out one time to Willow Creek, had Chad McCarty on it. And the guy, Ken Harkins, who many of you know from Titleist, didn't tell the guy what Sean and Chad were. Gets up. No, this machine must be off today. There's no way that this Chad McCarty guy is out here with Pinnacle guys, because they were the guys. And he figured it was all wrong. Then Sean gets up, and he registered the highest ball speed in the history of Titleist at 198. And maybe with these 10-inch longer clubs and new equipment, they may be hitting it faster than that now. And the guy says, I'm so sorry, guys. My machine's broke. And, can't help you today. And finally Ken says, well, this is a young man that hits it faster and farther than anybody in the world. And that's one of the occasions that led. Everybody's got the computers and the technology. Sean McCarty is one of the leaders because of his high club head speed and his consistency with shaft technology and club face technology. And it led to a friendship He played in the 2003 U.S. Open, and Ping was mad at him because he took a driver and then didn't play it in the tournament. And when they called me, I said, well, the face caved in and the shaft broke. You know, we were have to play something else. So during his playing days, you know, we were trying to find sponsorship money and bigger deals, and we played with Jim County, who put cable TV in most of your homes in Iowa here. And those of you who played Wakanda, that day, he flew it on top of the hill on number 4, on number 8, the par 5, which nobody's ever done ever before or since. He drove it green high on 11, 12, 16, and 18. And it led to, you know, we had a lawyer that helped us with some legal stuff one time, and then he told his friend about this, and he says, hey, you know, you guys don't owe me any legal fees, just give a lesson to my friend. And that friend was the President of the United States. And we got rained out that afternoon, and it was a sad day because that night John F. Kennedy Jr. had crashed the plane and died, so we didn't get a chance to do it. But the President of the United States wanted to play with this guy because the President had played Wakanda before, and hearing these stories, he had to see it to believe it. Used to call me up after qualifying rounds when we were playing the Nike Nationwide Tour. What'd you shoot today? 69. I'm going to head out. I said, well, stick around till the scores come in. 3 or 4 hours later, he'd call up, and I said, well, how'd you do? Got in. What was low? 69. The next week, it was 67. Somebody might beat him that week. And 1 week, finally, I said, well, come on, you got to just get a little confidence, you know, just because you think it's difficult out here, everybody else thinks it's really difficult. So finally, he goes out and makes a double eagle, a legal, eagle, and 3 birdies, and it was like 7 or 8 under on just a small span of holes. He shot 62. And I said, are you pretty confident you're going to get in today? And the world changed that day. So now we're going to skip up to the only argument we've ever had. I'm in Waterloo, Iowa. I was walking with his dad and his mom, and he's playing a short par 5. Bad lie, misses it, makes a par. He's hot and fuming because he knows Zach Johnson is just going to run away with it. So we're going up the next hole, and I find out that Zach 3-putted the 16th hole. That's Sean, you're leading. Zach Johnson 3-putted the 16th hole. And he, in a firm voice, says, don't lie to me! I looked at him and I said, Zach Johnson 3-putted the 16th hole. Sean went on to win the Waterloo Open. So, little things that have happened that are unbelievable. We're at the John Deere Classic, and we did this little drill where I would stick my foot right here so you can get a better flex and get it up to the top quicker. And it's the afternoon, the back, there's people in the stands. We do this 5 times. I tee it up, and I finally step back after the 5th one. And every single ball, nobody else could barely get it out of the range, and he's got it going out higher than this roof out of the back of the range and hitting it 100 yards past the 11th hole at Oakwood Country Club. And when I finally turn around, every player on the PGA Tour is watching him. And I was kind of embarrassed. I walked back, and there's Mark Lai. And he says, Mark, that was the dumbest thing we've ever seen taught to a PGA professional on tour here. And weren't those the 5 longest drives that have ever been hit on the face of the earth? So, the U.S. Open, he just did it with style. There's so many things I could say about it. You know, Nationwide was a sponsor of his then. And to go into the locker room and seeing Tiger Woods go through his pre-shot routine, and I'm in there, and Sean took me in, and we're trying to get the bag. It's been at Olympia Fields for a week, and they say it's not here, it's not here. And Tiger looked up and he goes, what's wrong? And I said something about the Nationwide Tour, and you know, we got 100 Nationwide allied agents out here. He looked at the 2 bag room guys and he goes, guys, this is the most important thing you're going to do in the world. Find my friend's golf bag now. We had it like 4 minutes later. So, there's so many things that went on, but I want to skip quickly. Everybody thinks he's the perfect individual, you know, in Iowa City. But I got to tell you about the cheating scandal. In the Buick Open and the Buick Scrambles, they have this thing where people will pad their handicaps and they'll get a bunch of one-handicappers playing to 12s. I get a call one afternoon and they said, you know, your guys lead, one of my friends back in Michigan said, you know, your guys lead the Buick Scramble and they think his team is cheating. So they went out and watched him. And in the first 7, 8 holes, not one of his amateurs hit a tee shot past 230 yards, not one of them hit a second shot, and they were 7 under after 6 holes. They said, this guy stood up. They thought he was laying up with an iron, and he flies this iron 320 yards onto the green, knocks it up, and they make eagle. And then they finally went back in. They said, you got to come out and watch this guy. They're not cheating at all. And it became just the complexion changed completely. And then as a parent, the only 2 difficulties these two ever had, they get called in because Grace over here went to school that year and they asked, what was the funnest thing you did on your summer vacation? She goes, oh, me and my sister played with my dad's friend Tiger Woods all day. So they get a call in here, and all the parents can simply say is, well, she did. And that's the only time I can ever remember these 2 ever having to be called into a parent-teacher conference. So, last year, the humbleness of this guy is we're sitting after a round of golf. Chuck Long, Iowa's greatest quarterback ever, sits down with us and said, how'd you play today, Sean? He goes, okay. About 20 minutes later, somebody walks by and says, hey, Sean, you know that 61 you shot today? That's a course record here. And Chuck just looked at Sean and goes, well, at least we know what okay is to Sean McCarty. So, advanced this year to the PGA Championship. We finished up with the John Deere Classic, and I was confronted by a number of players after his first 2 rounds. What is he doing? He's doing it better than anybody else on earth. And I said, well, he uses his natural ability. He's got good, healthy habits. He's physically strong. And he loves the game of golf and he's passionate about it. He goes, no. What are his TrackMan numbers? I said, I don't know. We don't work on that. He goes, you're kidding me. You don't know that your player he's played 2 rounds on the PGA Tour, that he has the fastest club head speed on the PGA Tour in 2018 at 131.426 miles an hour. When we went to the PGA Championship, some of the most strongest players in the world, all they wanted to do is how does a 45-year-old guy do what he's doing? And I stopped Phil Mickelson, we had a chance to talk, and I said, hey, I thought I was going to get a chance to talk to you a few weeks ago. I thought we were going to play with you. And he looked at me really odd. I said, where were we going to play together? He goes, well, Zach and you flew into Belle Reve. He goes, are you the guys from Iowa? Because Zach had been talking. And all of a sudden, Phil says, oh yeah, why didn't he come down and play? Well, he had a commitment at work. There was kids at work, and he had some children's commitments of his own at home. He goes, yeah, that's an excuse I've never heard before. Tiger Woods. We're sitting in the locker room, and we'd had some nice discussions with Tiger. And Pat Perez are watching a long drive contest on the screen about as big as that wall. And they said, this guy's the longest there ever was. And Tiger just turned his head around, looked at Sean and goes. And right now, I would like to take a moment and just do a presentation to the nicest young man that I have ever had the joy of working with, and induct him into the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame. Sean,
Thanks, Mark. You know, Chad Pitts called me. You know, he said, hey, you need a presenter. And I knew my brother couldn't be here. He's out coaching his kids' team for high school. And I was like, I wonder how I can make me sound good. I knew the perfect guy that could probably make me sound like a good player. So thanks, Mark. So I appreciate it. You know, I'm tickled pink to be in this, obviously with the 2019 class, and along with all the other phenomenal Iowa PGA pros, top amateur golfers, superintendents, you know, the other great contributors to the game of golf in the state of Iowa. So this truly means a lot for me to stand up here and accept this award. So I really want to thank the selection committee for their hard work. I know Jerry Johnson, I apologize, it took me forever to get info to him, but He was very patient with me. So, I've told this a lot of times. I have a lot of people to thank. I haven't done this thing alone. Yes, I did work hard as a kid. I'm a very competitive golfer, but I had a lot of people that helped me along the way from when I was 3 years old. First, that being my parents. They obviously, I was blessed. They bought a golf course when I was 3 years old, so I literally grew up in a golf course. I lived in the clubhouse of the golf course growing up, so I had no excuses but to play golf. So, but if it wasn't for them, I obviously would not be here. I inherited a lot of talent from them too. Both my parents were good golfers, and my brother and I both picked up a lot of talent from them because Chad and I literally never had any golf lessons growing up. Like Mark said, I played cross-handed until I was over 7 years old. So, golf just kind of came naturally for us. But Dave Rummels helped me along the way. He was always making fun of me playing cross-handed, but he was always great to me, kind of growing up there at the golf course. I looked up to him. But I look back at my parents for what they did for Chad and I. Not only did they own the golf course, they both worked separate jobs. They took my brother and I, especially my mom, all over the state of Iowa, some parts of the Midwest, for all these junior tournaments. And I think back, because I try to do it with my own two kids, boys that play all the time. I'm like, good God, I don't know how they ever did it. So, but I'm just so grateful that they were there for us. And my dad's passion was always going to the golf course, and it worked out great for me, obviously. But Chad and I, we actually, when I was 15, kind of started running the golf course, and Chad and I both worked at the golf course, ran for my parents, and it was a true passion of mine. So obviously with Rick Tagmeyer being this, he's my idol in this industry, but it was always one of my passions I had was take care of a golf course. So, my brother and I, we grew up, he was only a year younger in school, so we played high school golf together. We got to play Iowa golf together. He was kind of a walk-on, but ended up being on the team with myself, and I had some other great players. But my brother, he obviously made me a better player. He was such a good golfer in his own game there, and it always pushed me. I was always motivated to be the leader for my brother. So he was a great kind of brother growing up. He also caddied for me many times from college days as up to the PGA Championship last year. So I really can't thank him enough for everything he did for me as well. The other thing I've been blessed with is coaches, and it's not from just high school, college, but even my 7th grade, 8th grade football coaches. I mean, they were such good coaches, on and off the field. So I just was kind of blessed with those guys, kind of growing up and having them teach me kind of the competitive aspect, good sportsmanship. We had great football programs going through high school and so forth. So, but one of the best guys I've ever looked up to is my high school golf coach, Jim Wheeler. He wasn't a golfer himself, but his record, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it was very good. We won the last 3 years that I was there at West Branch, and I know my brother played 4 years. They never lost one tournament, one meet, and they won every state tournament for 4 years in a row. So obviously he was a golf coach, but his mental aspect that I learned from him, kind of growing up to the game with him through high school years. But everything I try to do now as a coach, I try and kind of imitate what he taught us through the game of golf. So anyway, going to Iowa here, thank God I stayed at home because it was the best decision I ever made. But Lynn Blevins, he was an Iowa golf coach. He believed in me. He recruited me hard, and I believed in what he was going to do for the program. Obviously, we went from worst to first my freshman year at the University of Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. So great coach. And then Terry Anderson, now a friend of mine, also is a PGA member. And so I get to hang out with him quite a bit as well. So, like I said, the coaches I had were great. So after college, Mr. Mark Egler here, 1997, calls me up, congratulate me. This is the first time we ever met. We were talking about one of the holes I played. He's like, why do you keep hitting right? I said, I don't know, I have no idea. said, what do you mean you don't know? I said, I don't know. I just play golf. And so became our relationship. I mean, I wish I'd met him earlier in my career, but my back might not be as bad as it is now. But I've become a big believer in his teaching aspect and all that. So, but we become such good friends, and a lot of people don't know this, but actually I quit golf in 1999 for 6 months. Wasn't going to play anymore, and I was having such bad back problems. He begged me and pleaded, and he said, hey, just come see my guy over here in Des Moines. I said, okay. Well, lo and behold, this guy figured out the problem in about 30 seconds, and thank God. He took care of all my pain, and things have been great since that, year in 2000. So, my point is always get stuck with it. But anyway, so Mark talks me into joining the PGA of America, becoming a club pro, and I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try, So, 2000, the city of Coralville talks to me about being a pro at Brown Deer Golf Club. I've been there for, this is my 19th year now, so they've been one of the best employers for me to continue my competitive spirit that I have. They've always been supportive, whether it's our section events, mini tour events, anything that we participate in. I can't say enough good things about Kelly Hayworth, Sherry Proud, my bosses there. I keep one day thinking they might say, hey, maybe it's enough, but they just ask me how I did, where I'm going next. So, my staff at Brown Deer has, since 2000, and so did Derek Bird. He was my first assistant I had. He has become a great friend. He's actually gotten out of business, but he caddies for me all the time. And we still hang out almost daily. So, but now I got Brian Werdemeyer. He's been with me 9 years. He hasn't left me yet, but he's been such a good staff member. I got a great staff at Brown Deer. I go play a lot. I never have to worry about things. They got things under control. They never bug me on the phone, so I can't say enough good things about all the good, staff that I've been blessed with at Brown Deer. So, all right. The next thing I need to thank is all the guys and friends and family members that caddied for me over the years. That take time out, come hang out with me. Both my brother-in-law's a caddy. Like I say, my brother's caddied for me so many times. And I'm a cheap payer. I don't pay them a lot of money, but I buy them food. So, but like I said, the time they take out of their schedule and so forth. But the other thing I really want is guys like Rick Brown, the news reporters and all that. They've always made me look so good in the stories they've done for me. Can't thank them enough. Rick's always been so gracious in how he made me sound like I was a good player. So, thanks, Rick. The next thing is my family. People in the golf business know that our summers are a little hectic. I'm not home much. I got a great family. I really do. Anyway, one of the things is that my kids caddy for me at all times when they can. Okay. I've had so many people ask me, like, hey, don't the kids bother you when you're out there playing? I said, no. I said, it's great. They look at me like dumbfounded. I'm like, it's precious time for me. I get to spend it. I don't get to see them a lot of the summer. And it's just, it's priceless to me. But I've got some great stories, with all my kids caddying. Every one of them started 6 years old caddying. Usually only when I get to use a golf cart. When they knew they had to carry, that I usually didn't hear much from them. And, but some stories is Grace, my youngest daughter. We're at the 2008 Iowa Open at Des Moines Golf, and she hasn't said much. She's only 8 years old. She's driving a cart. We'll get to 16. This is the final day, and the day before, I was leading. I was running away with it, and I made something like triple bogey on the 16th hole. She hasn't said Billy squat all day. We get to the 16th hole, and all of a sudden she chirps up. She's like, "Dad, isn't this the hole you lost your ball? We had to look forever. Don't hit it over again. I don't want to get out of the cart." So, needless to say, I started laughing. I ended up birdieing the hole because she made me relax. So. Jack, my youngest, he was 6 years old. We were at the Cedar Rapids Open. I just won the year before, so I was defending my title. And everybody's looking at me. Of course, his caddy bit won't even stay up on him. it's hanging down to his knees, looks like a dress. He's using the push cart, and we're going up number 3. And I kind of, he's up a little graduate. Again, he's only 6 years old, so he can't see over the top of the push cart. I was standing by my ball, and outside, look, as the push cart goes right by me. And he misses my ball by this. His foot goes right over top of my ball. And nobody says anything like, oh my God, he just about hit his golf ball. And he has no idea what's going on. We're all just like shocked. Anyway, again, it relaxes me when my kids are out there with me. But Mac here this last summer, he got together for me in California at the National Club Pro. And we were on the 12th hole, the final day. And I was getting a little nervous, I'm not going to lie, because we were kind of climbing up the leaderboard. When I get 12th hole, I make a birdie. And my name goes to the top for the lead. And I could see Mac, he was like, I thought he was going to pass out. He was breathing heavier than I was. Anyway, I actually started laughing and relaxing me again. And I proceeded, after that I ended up playing really well. Almost won it, but didn't quite pull it off for him. But it's just the moments I get to spend with these guys that the precious time, and they always relax me and so forth. So like I say, the family part to me is they've been so supportive, since we've had them. They're always there for me, always hanging out and helping out the way they can. So, also I got my mother and father-in-law there, John and Mary Gordon. I can't thank them enough and I don't tell them enough, but all the support they give to me for helping out when I'm not around, when my wife's out of town. They're helping move the kids around for us, so I never get to tell them thanks enough. Now the next one's my wife. She and I have been together for 30 years. God bless her soul. I don't know how she's done it. Anybody in the game of golf knows that golf can be an emotional roller coaster, and she's always been there for me, so supportive. I'll be down and dump sometimes, and she's just like, hey, you know what, it's not the end of the world. And I usually come to my senses after a while. I'm a little stubborn at times, but she's always there for me and always pushing me up, to the next level. So, but I got to admit, one thing she's never done is caddy for me. We did talk about it this year at the National Club Pro because the kids are going to be in school, but she was going to, and then she was out at Pebble Beach with me here a couple months ago, and after she just pushed my cart along for me in one of the practice rounds because they weren't allowing carts, it was raining too much, she thought, maybe in the best interest of our marriage, maybe we better not do this. I said, you're probably right. But anyway, thanks, hon. You're the best. And a lot of my success since 2000 with Brown Deer Golf Club has been part of you. I know I probably missed a lot of people. I'm just honored to be up here in front of you all, to accept this award, to be with Iowa's greatest golfers, pros, AMs, everything else out there. But it's truly an honor to stand up here and take this award. So thanks, everybody. God bless.